Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I'm going to talk about Wicked, the Wicked medley that was seen this evening at the Oscars for 2025. I am going to stretch and say that this was, to date, my favorite Oscar performance thus far. And I've seen many. I'm not a young person by any means. I am a 53-year-old individual, and I've seen many Oscar performances. I've sat through many medleys and things and tributes and all of this. But this one was different. It was different. I was ready to push the button earlier on, right after I seen it, and talk about it. And I couldn't bring myself to do it because I was literally crying. I was literally crying and could not stop. And I had to give myself a moment to figure out why was I being moved in the way that I'm being moved. But when that happens with me, I'll be able to tell you it's a thing where all things have lined up in a specific type of way. That's what happened. I had to give myself some time, and I started writing it down. I started writing down some of my feelings. As to why am I feeling like this? Because I did go and see the movie. I went to see the movie with Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande and all of that. I seen the movie and it was fine. And yes, the movie is musical and it's moving and all of these things. And naturally, when they get to the end is this big buildup. And I enjoyed it, but I didn't get what a lot of people got. Like, a lot of people were so excited, and they went to TikToks and YouTube Reels and all these different things. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's cool. And I get it. I've never seen it on Broadway or off Broadway. So I get it. And I know people get really excited about the Wicked thing. But tonight, what they did, it was more than just Wicked. Overall, of course, we were celebrating Cynthia Erivo. We were celebrating Ariana Grande. And when look at the picture, you're celebrating the friendship that they share, because ever since they did this movie, there's this friendship that they share that is undeniable. And every time I see them doing a interview together or any type of press together, it just fills me up. It fills me up. You know, if I'm going to have a friendship with someone, I want it to be like that. You know, in my life, I've had literally 2 friendships like that. You know, one with a female and one with a male. The female, she has transitioned, she's gone. But those are the 2 that I've been lucky enough. Some people never experience that type of friendship, that you could actually look at the people and you see it, and they start calling themselves sisters or brothers, or sister and brother, because you can't even wrap it into friendship. But that's my friend. No, they're like a sibling. Literally, it's a brother from another mother, a sister from another mother, and I love seeing it. So I was ready to celebrate all of that. So those feelings were there. But let me go into, I wrote down what it was. I see, first we had Ariana come out. She looks absolutely stunning in this red gown. Absolutely stunning. And she's not actually, it's not like the Ariana Grande, the pop star, you know, with the ponytail that we are so used. This was Ariana, the grown woman who embodied the character. She did a whole thing. So she has this whole other persona now. It's like a different persona, but there she is. It's Ariana Grande, and she's like this whole character. And she looks beautiful, and she sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Now, whenever I hear somebody sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I get nervous. I get nervous and I get anxious because the song is legendary and you don't want anybody to really mess it up. You don't want anybody to mess it up. And that's all there's to it. You got the whole Judy Garland thing going on, and you have the whole Patti LaBelle thing going on. So, with those two singing it, you really don't. You just don't want to hear a bad rendition. But for some reason, no anxiety, no nervousness, just I was calm. And I listened to her, and she sang the hell out of it. And no, she didn't do any acrobatics that wasn't necessary. She didn't touch it to her whistle tones or anything. She literally stood flat-footed and she sang the song in the way that the song should be sang. She respected it and she sang the song, and it was a magnificent version of her singing a song. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Now, of course, we know Somewhere Over the Rainbow, that's not part of the Wicked thing. That is the Wizard of Oz. So I was like, okay. I was like, that was interesting. And then, because I was expecting things for the movie. And then Ariana comes out, oh my God, stunning, in white. Stunning. And it's Cynthia. And she's, again, it's like this whole character of Cynthia. It's this whole different Cynthia. And she sings Home from The Wiz. Same thing. But again, I have this trust in Cynthia, and Cynthia always delivers. So yes, you got the Stephanie Mills and you got the Diana Ross version of Home. And it's like, okay, cool. It's all right. No problem. I'm not worried. And I wasn't worried. And she delivered. She delivered. And then Ariana joined Cynthia, and they went into singing Defying Gravity. And then is when my actual Wicked moment actually happened. It hit me different. It was fantastic, but it hit me differently. I think I got what some other people got from the movie when we were in the movie theater and they were so excited when they walked out. But it was amplified even more than that because, well, I'll tell you in a second. But they did their parts together, the whole, I hope you're happy. And she's singing her part. And then Ariana kind of curtsied and kissed Cynthia's hand. And she literally backed off and handed it over to Cynthia. And Cynthia came in and finished. And when I say it was a big finish, it was a big finish. And you had everything going on in the background. The background was gorgeous, and it was a big finish. It was a big finish, and that's when I said, "Wow!" And by the time she finished, and she hit that last note, I was literally in tears, and I could not stop crying. And I said, "What is going on?" Then I thought about it. Like I said, I started writing things down. I thought about it. I just went through basically really a piece of, like I did a little travel through my whole life. In that moment, in that 4 minutes, I did a whole travel through because I did the movies in their timing. I seen The Wizard of Oz multiple times. I've seen The Wiz multiple times. I've seen The Wiz live. I've seen The Wiz. I've seen the movie live. I own it. I had the soundtrack. I knew all of that. I did all these things. And then I went to see Wicked at the movie theater. And when I really sat there, I wrote down in my notes, I'm looking at it, I wrote, little boy, young guy, grown man. And that's the truth. Somewhere over the rainbow is me as a little boy. I experienced that as a little boy. I experienced the Wizard of Oz every year at Christmas time as a little boy. And then I experienced the Wiz. I was a young man. I was literally a kid. I was growing into a young man. I was a young guy. I was 8, 9, 10 years old, and moving on into my like teenage years. And then as a fully grown man, I experienced Wicked. And it's really all the same story, just different parts of the story and different versions presented of the story and the music and all of that. And I've been connected to this story my whole life. My whole life. So I said, this is probably where that emotion comes from. And then I thought about what we actually have going on right now. And I'm looking at Ariana Grande, who is of African American descent. And then I'm looking at, Cynthia Erivo, who's of African American descent. And then I'm looking at Ariana Grande, who is actually, I believe she's actually Hispanic. She's Hispanic, but when you just look at her, you see a white woman. It's just, you see a white woman, but she's I believe she's Hispanic. But again, different. Two sides of the coin, black and white, for all intents and purposes. And it just struck me. I said, we got black and white together. Neither one of these two could have actually pulled off this performance alone. They had to do it together. Together, it created excellence. And when you really think about it, as divided as we are as a country right now, we can make it separate, but together we are still stronger than we are alone. And I think all of that together just created what I was actually going through in that moment. And when you hear a person say, I was in my feet, yes, I was in my feelings. And I had a really hard time getting out. And that's why I made this video, because I felt like sharing it. And I'm just going to ask you, and I'm going to leave because I've talked long enough about it. Did anybody else experience anything like that watching the performance this evening? If so, please leave it in the comments. Tell me what your experience was. Even if you didn't, leave me a comment. Just take in what I said and tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. All right, you guys. Have a good one.